If you've ever wondered why a certain kind of style seems invincible when used by the pros, but when you yourself try it, you keep getting punched in the nose, this video is for you. Or if you're wondering why one great fighter seems to have ridiculous luck, getting away with ludicrous risks while a barrage of hard blows just barely misses them, this video is going to explain what's actually happening. Because when it comes to the pound for pound greats, both the most defensive martial artists and the most aggressive martial artists in history all use multiple lines of defense. For instance, you may notice a fighter just barely evades the shot without realizing that their defense has actually failed them twice, and it's this one last maneuver that ends up keeping them on their feet. I'll be going really in depth here, far more than usual, with lots of examples, because this is such an incredibly valuable but misunderstood concept. We'll get to the complicated stuff, like multiple lines of defense or aggressive defense, but before that, we'll be looking at simply pairing two forms of defense together. For example, when a fighter uses a block in conjunction with head movement, he's off the line of attack, but if that movement fails and the opponent tracks his head, the block ensures he doesn't take the full impact of the punch. In this super simple example, Lomachenko both slips and raises his guard, successfully defending against his opponent's jab. Here Foreman both forearm blocks and moves inside and ducks to smother the punch. Here Pacquiao drop slips to the left and implements an inverse elbow block against Mayweather's cross, setting up a nice left hook counter. Now for a more extended sequence. Here Mayweather parries and pulls against a jab. When his opponent follows up with the lead hook, Mayweather turns and moves inside to smother and elbow blocks. Before his opponent can even think of throwing a right, Mayweather smothers him with his left elbow and steps out of range. When the opponent follows up with the jab, Mayweather both shoulder rolls and reverse parries with his right hand. Every single attack in the sequence was met with multiple lines of defense, both a block and head movement. So when one of those defenses fails, like here, where Mayweather's rear long block fails to stop his opponent's hook, but his head movement gets him out of the way just in time. Another layer of defense can be to reinforce one block with another block or parry, using the opposite arm. And you could use this with head movement as well, creating a three-layered defense. Here Pacquiao cover blocks, cross parries, and slips, all to defend just one punch. Seems like overkill against a jab until you watch this clip, where Pacquiao's defense keeps him in position for a quick counter. Here Pacquiao pushes out his guard to double cover block. This is a technique your coach definitely would encourage you to use, but it's been successful for some greats like Winky Wright. Pacquiao's opponent follows up the jab with the cross, so Pacquiao slips and forearm blocks. Here Lomachenko supports his rear cover block with the lead cross block, setting up a body blow. Footwork is another essential tool for defense. Repositioning can take you off the line of attack altogether, with opponents needing to turn just to catch up to you. After Lomachenko weaves underneath the hook, he sidesteps as he slips. This protects him from the opponent's jab, which just misses, and allows Lomachenko to land his intercepting hook. Here's another sidestep from Loma, and it's a good thing he used multiple lines of defense and kept his guard up, because this time, he gets caught. Here Stevenson uses three lines of defense: a cover block, a long block with his lead arm, and a sidestep. But don't think you need lateral movement. Good distance management will work just fine. After guarding his opponent's jab, Pacquiao takes a single step back while pulling and parrying. Three lines of defense against his opponent's cross. Because he defended so well, he's able to stay in position for a counter combination. Another good line of defense, often used in conjunction with footwork, is basically everything wrestling, like ties, frames, and holds. Here Foreman pulls and inverse elbow blocks against a jab. While pivoting, he establishes contact with his opponent's shoulder, partially stifling his lead jab. At the same time, Foreman pulls away from the jab and places his rear hand on his opponent's rear hand, stifling any follow-up punches. As the opponent looks to re-establish the line of attack, Foreman again frames off the shoulder, slips, parries, and sidesteps. then follows up with a combination of his own. Here Stevenson steps back, parries his opponent's right with his left, and frames his opponent's head with his lead hand. Using lateral movement with the lead frame is a classic but effective technique. As a bonus, it can also block the opponent's vision. Stevenson demonstrates, but this is also a favorite of Lomachenko's. Here Pacquiao successfully defends against Floyd's punch, using a variety of techniques we've explored before. So Mayweather immediately stifles his return fire by framing, locking, and pivoting. As Pacquiao reestablishes the attack line to throw a left, Mayweather uses the control points he's maintained to push him away, returning safely to center ring. If footwork is your first line of defense, then a quick turn of your chin to roll the punch is the last. If it's too late to block, move away, or let the punch roll off your arms or shoulders, you have to turn your chin at the last instant to take some sting off. However, masters of this technique can allow the punch to just skim past them. So, going from the first line of defense to the last, you have footwork using distance and positioning, then blocks and reinforced blocks and parries, at the same time mixed with head movement. Then mid-block adjustments if those first two layers fail, or to set up grappling tactics like frames, holds, and ties. And if all that fails, then a last-minute turn of the chin to roll with the punch. And the really great thing about having so many useful tactics is that you can use them to stay safe while attacking as well. So here are some extra things you can do defensively while you're striking, literally turning a good defense into a good offense. A spent punch can be turned into a hold or tie-up to inhibit return fire, or into a frame to both defend and set up more punches. Here Stevenson turns the spent jab into a frame, then controls his opponent's head as he shuffles back to shut down his offense. Here Pacquiao leaves his jab extended just long enough to block his opponent's vision, taking him completely by surprise with the left. Mayweather slips and throws a right. The right only skims, so he turns it into a frame to create distance, throwing his opponent's attack off course and following up with a hard left of his own. Here Foreman uses a spent hook to pull away his opponent's rear guard, both stopping an attack from that hand and clearing way for a terrific right. But you don't need to punch first to use offensive defense. You can just preemptively shut down your opponent's offense to stay safe as you attack, or even clear ways for your own shots. Here Lomachenko preemptively clamps down on his opponent's left arm. Here Foreman stifles his opponent's lead hand to help set up his right. And here's Mayweather using the exact same tactic. Stevenson takes it a step further by using his entire forearm, clamping down on the entire guard and blocking the opponent's vision. Here Mayweather uses an elbow to stifle the opponent's guard and prop up his head for a follow-up punch. Then he stifles with his spent cross, just like we saw in the earlier clip. Here Stevenson circles an inverse elbow block over his opponent's shoulder, blocking his vision and establishing control for his follow-up left. He frames and repositions with his right hand, then slips to land another left. And lastly, here Pacquiao's opponent drives his head forward to try to stifle his offense. So, Pacquiao creates space by pushing against his chest, setting up a retreating knockout. So that's all for layered defense. I hope it's gotten you to take a second look at your approach to staying safe in the ring, both while you're evading and attacking. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.